All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Money Down Pod NBA podcast here. That is Sean White. I am Kayvon Izami. Hope everyone's having a lovely weekend and an early start to their week. We are here to discuss all the things going on in the NBA right now as we really wind down the rest of the regular season. So we're going to talk some Lakers. Just what is going on there. I've got some things to say about some comments that Russell Westbrook made. Supposedly, Mark Stein reported that it's official. They're not going to run it back with Westbrook next year. That was reported earlier today. There's that, like they said, the boiling point has got to that there's no way they're bringing him back. Interesting of how that's going to work. We're going to talk about the Sixers and what's going down with Harden and how they look. And then we're going to talk some Nets. Is it getting too late for them to recover here? And then we'll end it off with our League Pass team of the week as we do every NBA show. So, Sean, without further ado, man, another week of watching the terrible Lakers just do terrible things. Any of your thoughts change on what we're seeing with the Lakers?
I mean, it's kind of weird how they're getting worse. I thought, if anything, they'd improve a little bit. Thought maybe before the All-Star break, they were going to surge a little bit and try to get out of that play-in spot or at least make it up to the 7-8 seed, like that. But it's going in the tank. And I got to be honest with you, Westbrook's playing as bad as I've ever seen him play. That's for sure. But we've got to be honest here. LeBron has his worst body language out there. Like, I don't think he thinks they have a chance to win some of these games.
He doesn't.
Like you can see a rebound go off and an offensive board happen, and LeBron just kind of like shrugs his shoulders and just drops it down. He loafs back a little bit, and you don't usually see that from a LeBron team, to be honest. He's usually very engaged and usually can carry it. I think he just knows that he don't have the gas to carry this bad of a team. He carried that Dellavedova team and the original Cleveland team that he brought to the finals, but he was a lot younger then. And while he's still playing great, I think his just age has caught up to him to the point where he just can't carry this bad of a team anymore. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know how much AD is really going to save this. He's going to have to come back and get in shape. It's kind of looking real dreadful for him right now because just the way the whole body language and chemistry is working. LeBron's going to keep playing to chase Kareem. We kind of assume that. But I think this might be a lost season when it comes to winning because, honestly, Westbrook's playing as bad as a player can play. Any 15-foot jump shot he takes is wide open and it just bricks. I mean, if he shoots it, Kayvon, do you honestly think it's going in? I don't know.
And that's why LeBron's body language is so bad. See, you pointed out the Dellavedova team and that 2017 and even the 2018, the difference between those teams is they at least had people make shots, bro. I'm watching the Clippers game last night or 2 nights ago, and the Clippers will have a wide open shot and they'll make at least every other of them. The Lakers will have a wide open shot and nothing goes in at all. I mean, I don't blame LeBron for the body language this time. Like, sometimes I get on him when the body language is bad. Like, you'll see it in the playoffs. You'll see it in the finals. You'll saw it against, like, when it was just him versus Kevin Durant, the Warriors team. That was like, all right, man, what are we doing? But this, like, I mean, dude, it's seriously remarkable how terrible Westbrook is as an NBA basketball player now. I honestly kind of feel bad for him, dude. I think he's destroyed his career. Like, this is going to sound like a hot take. Like, he's still a Hall of Famer and all that stuff, but I think that this is about as worse as a possible season that he could have ever imagined to have. He went home. He's getting booed left and right. He cannot do anything to save his life, and it's not even that he doesn't make shots. He doesn't even defend well anymore. He doesn't even get 10 assists like he used to in a snap of the fingers. He doesn't even get up to 10 rebounds. Like, the guy does nothing, absolutely nothing. And then this is where it draws the line with me. If you play bad, you play bad, all right? But then the fact that he has the stomach to go into these press game conferences after, and these reporters, look, I'll speak on when a reporter is unfair to a player, I'm all for that player barking back at the reporter because if you're asking nonsense questions, that's ridiculous. But when a reporter is asking Westbrook a simple question as what the expectations that you had coming into this season, they're clearly not going to be made. How do you feel about that? And Westbrook says back, I didn't have expectations. What the hell are you? Why are you coming to LA? Why are you playing with LeBron James? And that's why, I don't know if anyone out there saw this. After Westbrook said that, this was a TNT game. They went to the post game with the TNT, NBA on TNT boys with Shaq, and Shaq chewed Westbrook out. He chewed him out. He said, who the hell are you coming to be a Laker and then saying there was no expectations? Like, dude, like, I understand you're trying to step up and like show all of these excuses because you're just playing terrible. That's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. You are on a LeBron James team. When the hell has a LeBron James team not had expectations? Like, when has a Lakers team not had expectations? Even if we know they're going to suck, the Lakers fans still expect them to win. It's just one of the worst moves that it could have ever happened for LeBron's career. And I'm not saying LeBron doesn't have part in this, because he clearly signed off on it, and he is now reaping the disaster of it because he signed off on it. It's just the worst thing that they could have ever done. And they had so many other things that they could have done instead of bringing Westbrook, and they decided to bring in Westbrook. And it's going to ruin a lot of careers. And this is the last thing I want to say. A lot of jobs, I mean. This is the last thing I want to say. They made a massive mistake, Sean, by not making a trade at the deadline. When a team is in a rut like the Lakers, the best thing you can possibly do when you have a LeBron James-led team is just make a tweak. Even if it doesn't even look like a big tweak. Even if everyone's saying at least it's a change. We've seen this happen to hundreds of teams by LeBron in Cleveland. They make a little trade at the deadline. It's really not that big of a deal. They get a shooter or something, and the whole positivity, the whole environment changes. They could have brought in Alec Burks and a couple of guys from the Knicks. And I promise you, that team's not winning a championship. That team's not winning a couple rounds of the playoffs. But I promise you they would have been better than this, because it would have been a change. Even bringing in John Wall, it would have been a change. This team is so bad that they needed a change, and the fact that they stood still was just another part to this terrible decision-making that has happened since last August.
Yeah, completely agree. You had to make a change at the deadline to begin with, but I guess it's been kindly reported that Jeannie Buss and Pelinka was just like, this is your mess, deal with it, which, I mean, I don't really quite understand. If you're going to ride with LeBron, you got to kind of hand it over. That's what you do when you have a LeBron James team. But you're right. I think the move would have been to just trade for John Wall, and you don't know what John Wall is going to be, right? You don't. But I can tell you what he isn't going to be is someone that's going to get basically the whole air lifted out of the building when he's wide open and you think he's going to shoot, or someone that's going to get booed constantly, or at a press conference have to be a little snarky with reporters. And I mean, I like Westbrook as a player. He wasn't a very winning player like beforehand. But we all knew this trade was going to happen. Not this bad, but it was going to be a bad fit. It's beyond bad. I mean, they're losing by 30 to bad teams. They're losing by 30 to the Clippers. They're losing by 30 to the Pelicans. I mean, without Zion for the Pelicans, without Kawhi and Paul George for the Clippers, I mean, Reggie Jackson's just bodying them down the court every time. Just no defense being played. They can't hit shots. I do think it's weird. We saw that Mavs game. I watched the Mavs game very closely. I watched that whole thing. And a lot of Laker fans seem to glean like a little bit of hope from that because they came back from that big deficit.
That's happened every game. LeBron's brought them back in almost every game, and then they lose at the end.
Yeah, but it's like, guys, you got to pump the brakes. During that whole run, you had Stanley Johnson hit 2 threes. You had Reeves hit a 3. You had LeBron hit 3 threes to bring them back. All the while that was happening, the Mavs literally missed 6 open shots. If they don't go cold right there, they're just trading buckets, really. It's kind of bad to watch, man. They're one of the worst teams, like one of the worst watches right now in the league because they're just a constant turnover and missed shots team. And you don't ever see that from a LeBron team, but it's not his fault on this one. It really is Westbrook and the pieces around him. Go into each game you're watching the Lakers play and then pick 5 from each team on who would start. Usually it's LeBron and the 4 other people on the other teams. That's kind of how
That's
that
what
is.
It is. You're right.
And I mean, if AD was there, it would be LeBron and AD and three other people from the other teams. That's what it is. Like, I mean, Anthony Simons, you take him over like everybody there.
Oh my God. I would love
Yeah,
Anthony Simons right now. He's amazing compared
I
to this
mean,
roster.
that's what it is. You literally just take your pick. I mean, they play the Kings, De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis immediately, Harrison Barnes. Like, you're taking four from the other team, and it's hard to overcome. And I feel for LeBron on that. It's something else to watch for too. Is just who are they going to get from a Westbrook deal since they've already reported that they're going to get the split going. I don't really know who would want to trade for him. Someone obviously will that's trying to get out of cap hell or something. I just don't know what you're going to get for him, and I don't know how you're going to build around that because the salaries have to match in the NBA. So one of the weirder things when you try to do a trade tracker, you have to go and actually enter in the salaries. It's going to be weird to see. Is it like a Knicks trade, like you mentioned? Is it something like that? Because I don't know if they're going to be able to straight up trade Westbrook's contract one for one with another good player, really.
I mean, this is going to sound so harsh, man, but at this point, if I'm a GM in the NBA, I would the last thing I would do is trade for Westbrook. Now, I get it. Some teams do it because they need to, like you said, they have cap space. They need to use that cap space. They get penalized if they don't. And so a small market team will bring him in. I mean, shoot, maybe he'll go back to the Thunder. But if I'm Sam Presti, I'm sitting there saying, I've got guys like Shea and all these other guys and Giddy that are like, I don't want him to get in the way of their development. Like, that's the issue with sending him to a young team. And I just got this report 5 minutes ago it's a Woj bomb, and it says, let me pull it back up. It says, Lakers organization wants Russ benched. Like, that's the headline. Lakers organization wants Russ benched. Frank Vogel refuses to drop Westbrook from the starting lineup despite an internal push to demote the guard. Like, this is where it's come. What are you doing, Frank Vogel? Why the hell not bench him? Like, well, why not try something? I mean, Frank Vogel's going to lose his job here, man. Like, he's going to get fired, and I honestly don't think that's fair. I think Frank Vogel's a good coach. Now, I will say this, and I tweeted this out way back in the summer. When I found out and heard reports that Jason Kidd was going to be the next coach of the Mavs, I immediately said the Lakers need to drop Vogel and sign Kidd. Look at the Mavs defense and look at the Lakers defense. The Mavs defense right now is top 5 in the league. The Lakers won that championship not just because LeBron and AD were amazing, but because their defense was number 1 in the league. And we're starting to realize, well, I don't want to take away credit from Vogel because he is a defensive-minded coach and he does know his basketball. He's a good coach. But I'm starting to realize that a lot of those defensive principles and systems was coming from Jason Kidd as well. Jason Kidd's doing a hell of a job with the Mavericks right now. And Vogel's going to lose his job, even though it's not necessarily warranted, but it's just, again, because they didn't make a move at the trade deadline for players, they're going to have to make a move to shuffle things up, and they're for sure as hell going to have to make a move this summer and get Westbrook out of there and get a lot of pieces out of there, man. Like, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why they won't bench him. I mean, does that make any sense to you at all? Like, I can't make any sense of it. And I mean, really, who you're replacing him with isn't that good. I mean, who are you going to put in Bazemore? Like, we saw him play terrible the other time. But I mean, it's not Westbrook getting booed every time. That's a strange situation going down there. I'll tell you what. Hearing that report, maybe I need to give up my hashtag and hand it over to you because it looks like you're the dumpster fire fan for this one right here. The way that's going on, because you got disagreements with your star player, your player that's causing the problems, the organization, and the coach at this point. It's a 4-way disagreement going on here, and they got to figure something out because they could fall out of this playoff race. Don't get me wrong. They could. They keep losing like this. They've been the worst team since the All-Star break in the league.
Easily.
And I mean, they got the Warriors tonight. I know they play them hard, but at this point,
Sean, just take a step back, man, and look at how far things have fallen. We're talking about if we're 2 months away. So less than a year ago, the Lakers were up 2-1 to the Phoenix Suns, who went on to the finals. They were up 2-1. And remember, guys, that Lakers team last year was not a disaster. The only reason why they were in the playoff game is because Solomon Hill rolled up on LeBron's ankle during a game, and LeBron missed 20-something games before because of it. And as we've seen every time with every single team LeBron's on, no matter how many games he misses, they dead fall into the loss column every single time. That's why they were in the play-in game. So they're in the play-in game. Well, guess what? Everyone's healthy now. They're up 2-1. AD gets hurt. Everything goes to hell. It's just so irresponsible from LeBron. I'm blaming LeBron on this. From LeBron to Pelinka to everybody that had a say in the basketball decision to look at what happened last year and say, we need to make a big-time change. And we need to not pay Caruso when they had the money to do it. Jeannie Buss didn't want to go in the luxury tax. What the hell are you doing, Jeannie Buss? You're the owner of the Los Angeles Lakers. You didn't want to pay Caruso? And he wasn't even that expensive. He was a phenomenal defender. He was a huge reason why our defense was so good. Then you get rid of KCP because of this trade. You get rid of Kuzma. It's just all of these people that think that they are basketball heads. And don't just tell me that LeBron held a gun to their head and said, you have to make these moves. Because clearly LeBron doesn't have that power, because if he did, just like you would say, just like you just said, they would have traded for Wall at the deadline, because that's what LeBron would want, and that was reported. He clearly doesn't have the power that everyone thinks. Yes, he wanted Westbrook, but clearly everybody did. Otherwise, something would have stepped up and said, hey, guys, maybe this isn't that great of a fit. It's just a disaster.
Yeah, so I have two more questions off of that. One's a future Lakers question for when LeBron's gone, so that's going to have to do with that. The second one I'll get to after that one, so we'll start with that one first. First question is, that Wall deal fell through because they wouldn't trade their 2027 first,
Yeah.
and I believe they wanted it unprotected. So are you saying that they're going to – you believe that they're going to probably send Westbrook off? If someone asks for that 2027 first round unprotected, do you think they send it off too? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, that's kind of killing you once LeBron's gone. Like, you're in the tank there, because you could end up going back to those Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram days where you get the 2 pick and it's just gone because it's not protected there.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do that, Sean. It's a
you don't
great
think
question.
so? Because that's what I'm curious about as well. I'm curious if they're going to try to protect themselves against when LeBron does retire or leave.
Yeah, I think that they're going to. I think that they're going to probably want to get that protected. But also, if I'm the organization, I'm sitting here saying, LeBron is second in the league in scoring. Like, LeBron's still playing great. Now, he's not giving you the energy, like you said, on defense and rebounds and all that, because he knows he has no help. But if I'm Pelinka and I'm Jeannie Buss, I'm looking at it and saying, guys, we are wasting a guy that is scoring lights out right now on LeBron James. And if the team was better, that energy of his would pick up, and he'd be way better on the defensive end as well. So, like, he definitely can still play. So, like, I'm doing everything I can to make this team better, but it's a great question. You don't want to give up an unprotected. I would want to make sure that's protected. But I'm doing, let me be very clear. If it comes down to it, I'm doing every damn thing I can to get rid of Westbrook and other pieces.
How old's LeBron right now? Is he 36 or 37?
I think he's 36.
So realistically, you're kind of looking at 2 more years, no matter what Father Time was, because once you see 39 in the NBA, that's where it kind of goes downhill. So you do got to balance that fine line of not giving up where your team's in the tank after LeBron leaves, but you also got to maximize this. Second question, this is more of a fun throw it out there question that still has to do with this. Is this Westbrook trade the worst trade in the history? And I don't mean like, oh, I have a disgruntled star and I want to ship him out and I get very little back. Or like even in the NFL, how we saw the Stafford Lions trade, that was them doing Stafford a favor and getting it there. Obviously, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback and you got the 32nd pick out of it, you know? So that's kind of like a lopsided thing, but that was an understandable thing. You got the Houston Rockets trading Harden out to the Nets for like what they got back. So you see situations like that. I don't mean that. I mean, like, they legitimately thought this was a good move, and it just ended up being so one-sided to the Wizards. So is this the worst trade that you can remember being like that? Because in my opinion, and I don't think it's like a recency bias here. I think it is. Like, it's as bad as you can go right now.
I think you're right. I think it's the worst trade in NBA history when it comes to like a good team. Like
You
trading.
thought it was even. They thought
Yeah.
it was like an even trade.
I mean, like just put this into perspective, bro. Like Kyle Kuzma is averaging I think it's like 17, 18 points a game and 9 rebounds. Got rid of him. Okay. Westbrook is doing absolutely nothing and nothing at all. And from how far they've fallen from what they were last year to what Westbrook is doing to the media. I mean, like, I can't say this enough, ladies and gentlemen. Westbrook is being insanely unfair. Like, he's taking shit out on the media. This is their job. Westbrook, I'm sorry that you're terrible at basketball now. I'm sorry. And, like, I don't want to be this hot take guy here, but this is a massive stain on Westbrook's career. It's a massive stain. And again, it's LeBron has blame for this too. But this is just terrible play. But this is why, Sean, it's the worst trade in the history of the NBA in terms of where they thought it was even. People that don't even watch basketball on a daily basis, just people that tune in for the finals, people like my dad that literally will watch here and there, that's it. Kayvon, how does Westbrook fit with LeBron and all these other people? I mean, like, people that don't even watch why are we not asking how this works? So you're telling me that everybody in that Lakers organization didn't say, Buddy Hield, we get to keep KCP? Because the Kings just really wanted Kuzma. Maybe we would have had to give in KCP as well, but we get to keep Caruso. Like, Buddy Hield, he seems like everybody that's been on a LeBron winning team before. Westbrook, never has LeBron has never had someone on his team where it's been successful like Westbrook. It baffles my mind that someone in that organization didn't stand up and say, guys, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. And I find this kind of funny too, the parallel here. I mean, I'm sure LeBron sat back when KD went with Kyrie and was like, dude, you don't know what you're getting into. And then LeBron did literally the same thing. And KD was probably like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I went through that, man. What are you doing right now? And I think that's kind of funny, the parallels on that. Because I do feel like LeBron, and this is a good ego play for him, and it's kind of been true. He does make everyone work with him until now. He's never had this issue before.
Never. And like, at least KD still has a baller as his partner. Kyrie's a freaking mess. And who knows if he's even going to even be I mean, think about this right now, bro. And we can move on to the Nets from this. Right now, the Nets are playing the Raptors in the play-in game. Kyrie is not eligible to play in Toronto. So even if it is an away game, Kyrie's not playing in that play-in game. I'm telling you right now, bro, I am taking the Raptors in that game. I told you last show that I would be worried if I'm a Nets fan of getting out of the play-in. And if they are matched up where they are right now, it is worrisome. Like, there is so much going on with the Nets right now, and time is running out. But just to put a knot on the Lakers thing, at least KD still has someone that can play basketball. Westbrook does not play good basketball anymore, man. And for his sake, he needs to get traded to a team where he can, I would say the Kings, but right now, if I'm the Kings, De'Aaron Fox just put up 46 on the Mavericks today. If I'm the Kings, no way in hell I am touching Russell Westbrook.
Well, Davion Mitchell, he'd have to come off the bench. And he don't want to do that with the Lakers and LeBron. Why would he want to do that in Sacramento? Honestly, to put another bow on this, after this contract, Westbrook's done in the league, dude.
He's done.
It's over after this. He's not getting another contract. Wherever he goes, that's where he's going to finish.
You're right. 1,000% right. Man, he might get cut. He honestly this offseason just might get cut. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone doesn't even pick him up. I'm serious. Like, that sounds so bad, but that might be what happens. But anyways, let's